Well, hello everybody. It's another exciting year of CAASPP testing, and I'm going to give you a quick training. We have about 15 minutes to complete this video, so we're going to go ahead and get started. First, we'll be doing the CAASPP system. Here it is, the Smarter Balance Assessment, California Alternate Assessment, which we have none of those this year, and the California Science Test, which will be piloted. We are not piloting those tests, so the only one that applies to Stroud this year is the Smarter Balance for ELA and Math. What's new this year? Student statewide ID will no longer have CA in front of it. Classroom activities have been eliminated for both the summative and interim assessments, which is great. And there are two non-embedded accessibility resources. Hundreds number table, which is considered an accommodation, must be written in the student's IEP or 504. And simplified test directions, which are designated supports, again, need to be written in as a support. Also, looking at the assessments, they are color-coded this year, which would be helpful when you log into TOMS and choose your assessments for your students. This is the test selection screen that you will see on your TOMS. Make sure that you choose the correct test for your grade level when you are setting this up next week. Also, there are expandable items, video playbacks, enhanced contrast, larger zoom levels for students that have visual impairments, item security and information, and any more information that you need, please follow the link on your screen. There's a new calculator. There's the previous standard calculator. We have the Desmos standard calculator, which is pretty spiffy. And in the portal, you'll see completion status and roster management as a new option. Make sure that you are verifying your demographics in TOMS this week. If you can do it ASAP, that would be great. Should take you about 10 to 15 minutes. You're going to make sure you double check for correct birth dates, grade assignments, everything like that, because it takes about 24 to 48 hours for student information to be updated. So we want to make sure that we are doing that before next week. The manuals and instructions, your DFAs and everything are available online, but I will also place a copy of your directions for assessment in your boxes so that you know exactly what to say to your students on the first day of testing and each day after. So we know that CAT assessments, or computer adaptive tests, they adjust the level of difficulty based on student progress in the assessment. Students are not scored on the basis of the number of correct. They are actually scored by both the number correct they get and the difficulty of the questions completed. And the difficulty is measured with Webb's depth of knowledge. Performance task is designed to provide students with an opportunity to demonstrate higher order thinking skills. The performance task is required, and students will not receive a score if either the computer adaptive test or the performance task are not completed. So make sure those are completed and check the status daily next week in TOMS. Here's some accessibility supports, universal tools that are available to all students, and whether they want to use them or not, it's their choice. Designated supports are available to all, and it needs to be indicated by an educator, parent, guardian, such as color, contrast, glossary, or magnification. Then accommodations, please talk to Amy to see if any of your students have accommodations. They needed to be accommodations that have been ongoing for the entire year. Online assessments include embedded and non-embedded accessibility supports. Embedded means part of the computer. Non-embedded means scratch paper things that aren't electronic. There's some graphic organizers to help you at the link below, and you can pause this presentation at any time. Some more resources for you. Make sure you are letting your student computers be updated. That means this week, be sure to shut down, at least at one point, at the end of the day, shut down all student computers completely so that updates can be installed on the computers before you restart them. Please do not wait until next week to do this, as it could delay the administration of your assessments. Here's the student profile page where you will look this week to check all their demographics and make sure everything is correct. Here's what the page will look like. and please verify for each of your students if their information is correct. The testing window. This has been an item of discussion all year. These are the recommendations, and they do not include the setup time of logging in. This is actual test taking time that CAASPP believes students need. Now, we have all agreed that we are going to break up our assessments into digestible chunks. It's going to be difficult to do with a computer adaptive test. You have to give students some prompts such as, please read one passage and answer all the questions for that passage. Once you do that, pause your test. Or if that's how you want to do it, or if you want to do 2 passages and questions, it's up to you. But we've agreed that the smaller the chunk, the better for your students. So let's talk about pausing. Make sure before we talk about pausing, make sure that you're not administering the performance tasks on the same day as the computer adaptive tests. Give those performance tasks their own day. Those are the most difficult part of the assessment. Appropriate testing conditions, of course. Your room should have good lighting, be free of noise, cover any information that students may use, try to reduce fear and anxiety, and monitor your students. Please don't just sit at your desk. Walk around and help them, or notice if they are going too fast or guessing, and encourage them. Make sure your students are appropriately seated where they cannot see other answers, and make sure that you post your signs. There should be no cell phones or any electronic devices anywhere in the classroom. They should be turned off. They should not be a distraction. This could actually threaten the reliability of the assessment and cause for a no score. When you are giving the students the administration of right when you start, make sure you follow the script exactly each time it starts. And I'll give you that script like I said. Students must answer all questions on a page before moving to the next page. They cannot return to a segment once it has been completed and submitted. They must answer all test questions before the test can be submitted, and may not return to a test once it's been submitted. This is what your screen will look like when students pause tests. So you can see at the bottom right here where it says it's paused. That's good. You need to monitor that. It'll tell you how long they were working before it was paused, and what number they're on out of how many. If there's some sort of technical issue, students will be logged off and tests will be paused automatically. If the test is paused, the student must log on again to resume testing if it's paused for more than 20 minutes. Highlighted text is preserved during test sessions, and student comments entered on a notepad are also preserved. If it's more than 20 minutes, like I was saying, they have to log back into the student interface, and they're presented with a page containing the question last worked on, or presented with the next page if all the questions were answered. They cannot go back and change any previously answered questions if they pause for more than 20 minutes. So make sure before you decide when students should pause that they've already checked their answers before they pause the test. And you have to use that pause button. They can't just log out. If it's paused for fewer than 20 minutes, for let's say during a recess break, they'll be presented with a question or passage that they were working on when it was paused, and they will be allowed to go back and look at previous answers to check. Performance tasks are divided into 2 segments. After a student completes the first segment, he or she cannot return to it. There are no pause rules for performance tasks. Even if a performance task is paused for more than 20 minutes, the student can return to the current segment and continue. They are required, however, to log back into the student interface if they are off for more than 20 minutes. And all the same same criteria involved with the pausing. This is actually with the cast, which we don't have. So if there's a timeout due to inactivity, that means if they're off for more than 30 minutes, they will be logged out, and you'll see this prompt at the bottom of the screen. They will have to log back in, and it's considered a pause for more than 20 minutes. A student has to complete and submit the test, or else it will remain active. And we have 45 calendar days to complete it, which we will have no problem doing. Performance task will remain active for 10 calendar days after the student has started it. Test security. There are 3 types of security breaches or incidents: impropriety, irregularity, and a breach. Here are some examples of what those look like. Impropriety is a student talking during the test. Please encourage your students not to talk, of course. Irregularity is cheating, accessing or using electronic equipment like a cell phone. And a breach is when the test coordinator, or test administrator records any of their student responses or changes them, or if an administrator allows students to take home test questions, passages, prompts, or scratch paper. Of course, none of us will do that. So once the completion status report pops up, allow for the monitoring of testing, help ensure all students are eligible for testing, begin, complete, and submit their tests. And once testing is started, you should check your completion status on a daily basis at the end of the day, hopefully, or at the end of your test session. You can find those under this button right here, Completion Status Roster Management. There's a video you can watch if you have questions about that. Here's kind of what you'll see in TOMS when you're looking up student demographics and test assignments, settings, and that's it. Hopefully you don't have any questions, and this was a very thorough and presentation and give you everything you need to know. If you do have questions, you can come see me at any time. You can call Janet Parkinson. You can talk to Jamie Olney, and also make sure you sign your test affidavit, which is in your box from Carol, and return it to her. She will keep those with her at all times. Or signs for your doors, and for the classroom saying no electronic devices, as well as your directions for administration, all by the end of this week. Good luck, everybody, and remember, this Wednesday the assembly is for 3rd through 6th grade, and it will be a test pump-up assembly. Good luck. I know that you guys are going to do great, and I can't wait to see how we do.